Welcome to Qahwa, brought to you by Adil Khan and Hamdi Blikish, in collaboration with Doha International Center for Interfaith Dialogue on QF Radio 91.7 FM. We explore today the knots that bind us together as people of faith through frank conversation with members of our diverse communities here in Qatar.
We'll celebrate diversity, mutual well-being, and enrich our spiritual lives in the process. We live in a world of constant neighborly strife, distrust, and conflict, where misunderstandings are plenty.
There is no better time than now to realize the importance of interfaith dialogue so that we can all work together in knitting the social fabric between the children of Adam and Hawa.
This program asks the question, how can others' perspectives enrich our lives?
Where we are speaking today to our special guest, Professor Maria Christiansen, Associate Professor of Public Health here in Qatar University. Hello, Professor. Welcome.
Hello, and thanks for having me.
Professor Maria, can you tell us something about yourself in the very beginning of this program?
Yes. I will be delighted to. I originally come from Denmark. I became a Muslim 19 years ago, and I have education, a master, and a Master of Science in Public Health from Copenhagen University, the capital in Denmark. I pursued my PhD studies back in Denmark again, where I did a lot of studies among ethnic minority groups, including Muslims. And I've always been very interested in the relationship between Islam as a faith and any faith overall, religious beliefs, and how this affect our health. So I came to Doha in August 2013, so I'm still new.
So this is your first Ramadan here?
It is, and this is exactly one of the reasons why I came. I came to pursue, I wanted to spend some time in an Islamic environment. So this
it's your first time in the Muslim world?
Yes, Doha is my first visit to the Middle East overall, so I'm very delighted to be here. I'm part of a group of faculty at Qatar University that is setting up a bachelor program in public health in order to deal with some of the many public health challenges that faces Qatar and indeed the entire world related to rapid development and changes of the way human beings live. And Islam is, of course, a major factor in all of this.
Can you tell us something about your experience of public health care in Qatar compared to where you came from?
Yes, like Denmark is obviously a small country, although it is bigger than Qatar. And in Denmark, we have had a long tradition of focusing on preventing diseases and promoting the general health and well-being of people. So when I speak about health from a public health perspective, we talk about health as something that is not only physical, it's not only not having a disease, it's also a state of mental and social well-being, and one might add spiritual well-being as well.
A healthy lifestyle.
A healthy lifestyle and being healthy on all aspects. So we really do talk about quality of life. In Denmark, we have a lot of focus on preventing diseases. That means we have a really strong attention to creating healthy communities and starting from like early childhood and moving up towards the end of life. So it is a very, very well-established field. Here in Qatar, it's more new, and there has been a lot of attention towards bringing top-notch treatments to Qatar, which is really great. But I think part of the realization that is underlying our program is that we need to do something to prevent diseases from occurring, and not only prevent diseases but promote health, promote a good quality of life for all peoples of Qatar.
So, in your view, is health a right, a luxury, or a duty? And how do you relate that to your understanding of Islam?
I think, like, when we talk from a public health perspective, we do see health as a fundamental human right. We do see health as something that should be protected for all people, something that each individual have some sort of guarantee to. The problem is that we are all born with different genes. We're born in different communities with different socioeconomic backgrounds. So the role of state is to help the individual realize the highest attainable state of health. And that will differ somewhat between people. In public health, we do also work a lot with health inequalities, which we see as very unjust and unfair. And this has been something where I really would like to draw on the Islamic perspective, that we need to care about the vulnerable groups, people who live in poverty. We have to share our wealth, every resource that we have. So I do really feel that health as a right is something that fits very well within Islamic discourse. When it comes to health as a duty, of course also there is a responsibility upon each individual. So when you look at, for example, driving behaviors, we cannot see that reckless driving is something that is, it's not a right of anybody to be driving recklessly, and certainly not of a Muslim. So we want people to take responsibility for their own health and the health of others. Also because poor health outcomes is very costly for states, and it draws away resources from other fields.
Professor Maria, how our environments and cultures determine our health?
It shapes our health in so many different ways. One of the things is that obviously from an Islamic point of view, from a religious point of view, we do know a lot about how to maintain our personal hygiene, fasting, eating, all of these exercising, all of these things are indeed shaped from a religious point of view. What we do see also is a lot of cultural factors that sometimes clash with an Islamic viewpoint. And for example, being a Muslim woman, the thing about how do you encourage Muslim women to exercise when there seems to be, and at least from some cultural perspectives, restrictions on this.
But you were exercising before you embraced Islam also.
Yeah, I was indeed. And I've been bicycling since after I became a Muslim too. But I mean, how do you, there are so many different cultures around the world, of course, and they all have ideas about what is proper behavior and what is healthy lifestyle. How do you deal with diseases and how do you maintain health? And it differs a lot. So culture and religion plays big factors. Another thing is socioeconomic determinants, like the level of education you have is sometimes more powerful than your culture in determining what you know about health and what do you know about your ways of promoting health. And when we see low-income families reproducing the same type of health-damaging behaviors in their children, it's often not because of will or cultural beliefs. It's often because of lack of knowledge and lack of support, lack of resources. So we talk about it in terms of religion, culture, and socioeconomic background a lot, and gender. You can add that.
You are listening to Children of Adam and Hawa, Kahwa, on QF Radio 91.7 FM, a special radio show for the month of Ramadan, brought to you by Adil Khan and Hamdi Plekic, in collaboration with Doha International Center for Interfaith Dialogue, where we are speaking to our special guest today, Professor Maria Christiansen, Associate Professor of Public Health at Qatar University. Professor, you mentioned that religion influences healthy lifestyles. Can you give us some examples from your own experience where religion influences these lifestyles?
You can talk about the obvious things about not drinking alcohol. You actually do have a lot of emphasis in Islam, and particularly during Ramadan, on maintaining a balanced lifestyle, which also comes down to how much you eat, what type of food you eat, not smoking, all of these issues. So the usual health damaging things about obesity, smoking, drinking and drug abuse. All of these things are of course shaped by Islam. But you can also talk about this issue of being in balance, being a good person all the way through, and it preserves your mental well-being and your social responsibility in your society. And coming back to the public health concept of health, is not only about preventing disease, it's also being, maintaining a positive mental and social well-being. And this is indeed also it's everywhere in Islam, of course. I've been doing some studies back in Europe where we talked about breast cancer. And we want to encourage Muslim women to participate in mammography screening programs. And often they don't do so because of fear or stigma, or they don't know what it's all about. And you can actually use Islam to encourage positive health behaviors, encouraging taking responsibility for your health and ultimately the health of your children and your entire family. So we can use Islam also to do stop smoking programs. And I do believe actually also in things that put pressure on Qatar when, for example, safe driving behaviors is also something that is not. It's not only about taking responsibility and driving the right way. It's also about being a good Muslim and not damaging yourself and other people around you. So I think Islam has a huge potential to shape health behaviors even more than it does already.
Islam and religion in general have a lot to say about the emotional well-being of humans. Do you think this aspect of health can inform mainstream healthcare?
I think that healthcare all over the world, and I think it is moving towards that, needs to move more towards healing instead of just curing diseases. I mean, reacting early to signs of disease is one thing that is really encouraged, but also taking the patient into consideration. So when we talk about patient-centered care, we also talk about embracing the spiritual needs, the social needs, and the mental needs of your patient, which actually used to be the role of medical doctors. Then they shifted away from this and went to the hardcore medical treatment. But there is a move towards getting this back on track, where you also do embrace spiritual and social needs of the patient and mental.
But the question is, can religion change, inform healthcare? Because that is the dialogue which seems to be not happening right now, that religion has actually something to give to the mainstream healthcare regimes, which are focused completely on allopathic or completely on socio-economic differences of healthcare. Can there be something which can be informative for the mainstream healthcare regimes?
I really do think it can, but it is a field. It seems to be a field where you have a lot of tensions. Like back in Europe, you do have this tension about, do we even want to talk about religion, and do we want to talk about Islam? So when we write papers about like end-of-life care needs among Muslims, and we encourage doctors to be culturally competent, which means they also have to bring up religion. They want to, we want to bring in the imams at the hospitals, which has been a move that has been so difficult in many European countries, because and it's not only about Islam, it's about religion as such. They don't see a role in this. When you do patient surveys, they almost always say that they feel there is a lack of attention to the spiritual religious needs. So they actually do request, a lot of them, that religion will play a bigger role. Then when it comes down to the Muslim societies, and I think this has been surprising to me, that so many people do not see religious needs as something that is part of health and something that healthcare should embrace, and which I indeed think it should. And not only at the end of life, palliative care is where we always talk about it, but across the entire lifespan. And when you see some of the identity issues and mental health problems among people in many parts of the Middle East, I actually do think that Islam could play a bigger role in helping people heal, not only from a medical point of view, but also spiritually.
How do different public health regimes influence our health, Professor Mari?
I think public health, and when I say public health, it's not only about the people working in primary healthcare centers or like different parts of the medical field. I'm also talking about like the structures and the laws in a society actually do have a major role to play. So whatever goes on at the top leadership level actually will shape the health behaviors of people and ultimately lead to certain health outcomes. So public health in setting positive frameworks around people, but also sometimes restricting their freedom, have a huge potential to promote health. You can look at the pricing, for example, of cigarettes, which is really very much a public health approach, that if you raise prices of cigarettes, the number of smokers is likely to decline, which will give a higher, in certain places at least, in certain European countries, there has been this move where number of smokers, a number of new smokers at least decline. In Denmark, we have this law where they put up prices for unhealthy food. So food that is high in fat and sugar will become more costly, and healthy foods like fruit and vegetables will be subsidized. So you have a lot of methods at the overall legal level where you can affect public health. It's also about creating healthy communities, places where you can ride your bike without being run over by a car, where you can have walking places like the Corniche in Doha. It's about building in health considerations in your architecture and throughout the entire society.
And now we have with us Shahryar Khan, fourth-year medical student. Assalamu alaikum, Shahryar.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, Ramadan Kareem, Shahryar.
Ramadan Kareem to all the listeners as well.
Yeah, welcome. So we have just a few questions. We hope you will help us and participate in this program. Shahryar, can you tell us something about a non-smoking campaign in Qatar Foundation?
So personally, during my clinical year, I've noticed that also in the hospital and widespread in Qatar that Qatar has a lot of smoking going on, and smoking has a lot of gruesome impacts that the public education needs to work on and needs to address. So a group of students amongst the Qatar Foundation universities came together and are planning on launching an anti-smoking campaign focused on Qatar, mostly the Qatari youth, the youth in the schools around year 7 and 8, to initiate and start a program that can help the Qatari community in stopping smoking. Smoking, as we know, a lot of research in the world, everywhere, has shown that it is a risk factor for a lot of cancers, predominantly lung cancer, heart diseases, cancers elsewhere in the body, including the bladder, pancreas, stomach, colon, and smoking also increases the risk of stroke. So the health effects of smoking are clearly evident. Now it's up to the public education part, and the community out there needs to know about its impact, and this is what we are planning to do in our campaign. We are basically promoting a healthier lifestyle for the people living in Qatar. That includes effective ways in helping them quit smoking, and at the same time adopting a lifestyle that can help them go away from the lifestyle of smoking. And the lifestyle that we are encouraging includes exercise and healthy eating and engaging themselves in activities that can keep them busy. So in a nutshell, what we're trying to do is basically also, this Ramadan is a month where people fast, and especially Muslims, the people who smoke during Ramadan, they also tend to not smoke during the fast times. And Ramadan can be used as a tool to bridge in their efforts to quit smoking. So really, our advice for all the listeners out there who smoke right now is to use this Ramadan as an opportunity to try to quit smoking and say goodbye to this dangerous habit that can, have a gruesome impact on their health.
So do you think that this campaign has a positive impact and there are already some results, positive results?
We did not officially launch yet, but the importance of this campaign is very, very important, I think. Right now in Qatar, we have a lot of lung cancer, we have a lot of heart diseases, we have a lot of strokes. And, in the hospital settings, when you ask these patients, a lot of them are smokers as well, chronic smokers up to 20, 30 years of pack year history. So the need to start this campaign is right now, and it is very important. In a lot of other Western countries, this anti-smoking campaign is already very strong and it's happening, but we believe it is lacking in Qatar. And with the help of Qatar Foundation and Hamad Medical Corporation and Qatar Anti-Smoking Society, we are willing to make an impact, and we're hoping that we will achieve our results within a year.
Shahryar, in your opinion, what is a good way of raising a public awareness of public health?
A good way of raising public awareness of public health focused in Qatar would be two main issues. Of course, smoking has already been touched upon. And the second one, I believe, is obesity and diabetes here in Qatar, very, very prevalent. So both of these issues are very common out there. So moving from smoking towards obesity and diabetes, we have around, a small study was done in Qatar showing that 40% of the Qatari youth is obese. And obesity is a risk factor for diabetes. So in terms of framing and talking about lifestyle issues, of course, the climate of Qatar does not promote a very positive opportunity for exercising, but I think it's very, very important, given this high number of obesity in the children and the young adults, that strenuous exercise lifestyle and activities and sports is very important, and this has to be done for the public education part. So both anti-smoking and an active lifestyle will solve Qatar's problems and will show its benefits in the near future.
And that was Shahryar Khan, the fourth-year medical student from Weill Cornell. Thank you very much, Shahryar.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes.
Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you. Ramadan Kareem. And now back to our studio and to our guest, Dr. Professor Maria Christensen. What about public health awareness, Professor Maria, here in Qatar? Do you have any comments, your personal opinion about that level of awareness?
I think in general, and this is not only Qatar, this is across the region, I believe, public health is a new field, and people often do not have the sufficient knowledge or maybe sometimes awareness of the importance of preventing diseases. We of course all know this, and we know it also from a religious point of view, but when it comes down to the daily life, people, and that's all people, just generally react when symptoms starts. So I do think there is a huge need to focus on preventing diseases and going back to primary health care. And starting with the kids, starting very early on in families to help them enhance the health and well-being of people, all the members. I think there is a lot of things going on right now, and Action on Diabetes is just one of the things where they even now do a Ramadan campaign trying to, educate people about how you balance fasting with diabetes, if that is one of the health problems you have. You have active cancer societies. You do have a lot of people who are trying to push for this. And I hope that the students that will come out from our program will be part of shifting their attention towards promoting health and not only treating diseases.
Is there a particular web portal that people can visit who are listening to this program related to public health awareness in Doha?
It's difficult as it is right now because it will be very much disease focused. So you can read about something if you have diabetes, for example, or you can read about cancer. I think we do have a major task in front of us to create good, sophisticated and valid health information that people can use. And I know there are a lot of projects going on, but I haven't been here this long, but to my awareness, there is no such information as it is now.
Well, thank you for giving us your time today, Professor Maria Christensen. And we hope that your first Ramadan here with us in Qatar is beneficial for you. And if you like to have some parting words to say to our listeners regarding Ramadan.
Thank you so much. I'm thankful for being here. I'm thankful for being in Qatar, and I really and I really hope that bringing in Muslims with different types of ethnicities and different level of education, different types of education, can help us all tackle the challenges that Qatar face and also draw on all the opportunities down here. I just want to wish everybody a healthy and blessed and peaceful Ramadan, and that we will all be strengthened in our faith when this holy month is over, inshallah.
And as we learned today in our program, that health is well-being for everyone, and it is a right for everyone, for all those vulnerable groups, as well as for the better off in society. With this message from Adil Khan and Hamdi Blekic, we say to you goodbye and Ramadan Kareem.
A blessed Ramadan to everyone. O God, most clement, make this month sweet and illuminating for our souls. O tuner of the hearts, open our hearts for those less fortunate than ourselves. O most compassionate and all merciful, make us compassionate and merciful. O guide, turn our hearts to you through your book, whose cadences follow us through the nights of this month. O turner of the hearts, cause tears of repentance to flow from our eyes that dry and hearts that are hardened. And O all-loving, imbue in us an unperishing love of your beloved, our Prophet, Al-Mustafa. Ameen.